Hi friends, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we're doing a herbalism video. We haven't done one in a long time. This is something I brought back from my trip. It is a walnut. And I was able to pick these off of a tree in Idaho, in the town of Moscow, and they look like big limes, really. But they smell like a citrus, but not lime. They smell like more like bergamot, if you've ever had that. But I was too late on making an incense out of the skins, or a potpourri. But I'm not too late to carve them open and get the walnuts from the inside. So I was super excited. So there is what that looks like, just a natural walnut. And I, have a little bushel, if you will, of those. So I'll be going through and opening them up. But if you're not used to my herbalism videos, if you're new to my channel within the last month or so, I don't think I've done one in the last month or so, I go through all my books and I check them, and then anything upon the topic I talk about. Also, if you're wondering what this is, check out my video before this. We did a lamp, a hoodoo oil lamp, with things on the inside, with herbs and such, to burn by your bedside for prophetic dreams and to help with your psychic awareness, okay? So check that out for sure. I'm really excited about it. Alright, first is one of my newer books. It's Scott Cunningham's Magical Household, and it just had a little snippet in there. It says under furnishings, the woods have their own magical powers and influences, and your chairs, couches, desks, and stools, in fact, all your wooden furniture containing the energies of the woods from which they were made. Ebony, for example, is a wood of magical power and protection. Furniture made from it is ideal for rooms in which magic is frequently performed, okay? Interesting. Following it is a list of woods and their magical influences. Okay, so when it comes down to walnut, that's good for health. So if you had a chair that you sat in all the time, or you could make a walnut bowl and eat out of that bowl for health. Or you could make a walnut dining table and eat off of that for health. You could make your chair that you sit in that you're ill in, you could make it out of walnut and then cushion it really well. Stuff like that. So this Magical Household book has been so fun to read through. Alright, so in Scott Cunningham's Magical Herbalism, The Secret Craft of the Wise, I want to talk about walnut in that as well. There's two different snippets. There's walnut as it is, and then they talk about nuts and cones, okay? So on page 206 starts walnut, and it goes to 207. The folk names are Tree of Evil. Why, I wonder. English walnut, Persian walnut, and Caucasian walnut. Gender, hot. Planet, the sun. Element, fire. The part used, the nut. Basic powers, fertility and healing. Specific uses. Carry the nut in its shell to promote fertility, to strengthen the heart, or to ward off rheumatism. Witches used to dance beneath walnut trees in their rites, although it has fallen into disguise. Because of the witches' activities under the walnut trees, folk people began viewing them with suspicion, hence its old folk name, Tree of Evil. There you go, Jennifer. Explained. Thanks, Scotty. To find out if a person is a witch, drop a walnut on the lap of the suspected party. And then what? My lap just tingled and my throat kind of got tight. Let's see what it says. If he or she is a witch, they will be unable to rise from the chair. This was one of the methods of testing witches during the persecution. Eat walnuts to cure madness. Madness, you say? I love you guys. Walnuts. Maybe they call it nuts because madness and walnuts, You're nuts. Maybe. Alright, right. This book is fun. It's got some fun stuff in it. Now let's read what it says on nuts and cones. I'll just grab a cone real quick as we talk. Or a couple local pine cones, which have little, like, nuts inside. I believe pine nuts come from a cone. I don't know if it's a pine cone or not. I wouldn't think, but I'm not 100% sure. You guys know, though, don't you? Tell me. Specific uses. Oh, well, the basic powers are fertility and healing. That makes sense because there's a lot of seeds inside of the pine cone. Specific uses. All nuts are steeped in magic. What? While the acorn, hazel, and walnut are described in detail elsewhere in this chapter, a few general words on nuts and cones are appropriate. Most nuts are used to increase fertility to help conceive. While underpopulation is hardly a problem today, herbal magic is sometimes called upon to provide help where the medical profession can supply none. So, like, he's saying that people use herbalism as a last approach. It should really be the first approach. But yeah, I mean, like my dad did, and he stayed alive for 12 years past the time he was so sick and dying and so close. And then started to see a naturopath and do acupuncture and Chinese herbs. And, you know, yes, he's sick today and he's near the end of his time, but I mean, he had 12 extra years. We can't even say how amazing that is. Alright, so, yeah, so that relating to saying, herbal magic is sometimes called upon to provide help where the medical professional can supply none. Nuts have a wide variety of magical uses. Buckeyes are carried to prevent rheumatism. Almonds are eaten to prevent intoxication and to gain wisdom. The Brazil nut is carried to find love. Cones of the evergreen trees are also useful in fertility magic. The hemlock cones are neglected and dried in the autumn, then dipped in green wax, strung in necklaces. The circular shape of the necklace itself is a fertility symbol. Yeah, and Saturn. These necklaces are worn by women who wish to become pregnant. This ritual is performed in secret. Awesome. So that's what we got out of Scott Cunningham's Magical Herbalism, and now we're on to Scott Cunningham's. I do have books by other authors, you guys, but he's the biggest herbalist author that I have. Wicca in the Kitchen, Encyclopedia of, and under Walnut it says, not a lot, but here's what it says. Planet the Sun, element fire, energies. Now this is when you ingest it, when you eat it. Out of this book, it's always talking about when you eat it, the magic of that. Energies of ingesting it, conscious mind, and protection. Lore. Walnuts are native to North America, Asia, and Europe. The ancient Greeks believed walnuts to be one of the foods eaten by the goddess and gods. Walnuts were used to treat problems of the brain in European folk medicine because of this nut's remarkable resemblance to this organ. It does look like a brain, doesn't it? These are the nuts that I didn't enjoy as a child. Me either. And my mom made me eat ones that were, like, not good anymore. And she's like, they were from our Uncle Joe's tree, which she still has that damn jar with those damn nuts. Peggy, if you ever find my channel, it is time to retire those walnuts. This given to me for magics, mama. Okay, so yeah, I didn't enjoy them as a child either, Scotty. Rest your soul. I still don't like them, but many people do. These furrowed nuts can be eaten for increased intellectual abilities. Alternately, walnuts can be added to protective diets. Excellent. Okay, and now I wanted to say this before I forget. Black walnut hull tincture is something I had in my cupboard, and that is for, you can only take it for like 10 or 15 days in a row, my naturopath said, but I got it for a parasite cleanse I was doing. So if you need to do a parasite cleanse, I found a good gluten-free alcohol base, so that means it's made of not grain alcohol, but like a vodka or something. It's Static Earth. I found it on Amazon, but it's organic. It's like no GMO, you know, all that. Best one you could get, and you're supporting like a small local, which not local, but small business, which I love. Okay, and next we are on to the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, Scott Cunningham. Okay, so walnut. It doesn't say a ton. This is the book we're reading out of. Sometimes I call it my herbal Bible. Folk names: Kyra, Caucasian walnut, English walnut, tree of evil, walnut. Gender: masculine, planet the sun, element fire. Powers: health, mental powers, infertility, and wishes. Ritual uses: witches were supposed to dance beneath walnut trees in Italy during their secret rites, and that must be where it came from. That story we just heard of was from Italy, when they were, that's why it's called the tree of evil. Magical uses: when carried, walnuts strengthen the heart and ward off rheumatism pains. They also attract lightning, so don't carry one in an electrical storm. Okay, guys? They attract lightning. If anyone gives you a bag of walnuts, you will see your wishes fulfilled. Well, I guess, Peggy, you did get a big bag of walnuts, didn't you? When placed in the hat or around the head, walnut, so you could just tuck one into your headscarf. Walnut leaves prevent headache and sunstroke. I wish I had some leaves to show you, but I don't. So they prevent sunstroke and headaches. That's awesome. So you could tuck one into your scarf and try and prevent headaches. If a woman about to be married wishes to delay the blessed event, she would place in her bodice, I believe that means bra, as many roasted walnuts as corresponded to the number of years she wishes to remain childless. Wow. She must do this on her wedding day. Interesting stuff. I love those old things. And then the last thing we're going to read out of is, this is a Raven Grimassi, her Encyclopedia of Witchcraft and Wicca. And I was surprised to find that there was walnuts, but I thought, you know, look in there, there just might be, and there was, so I was excited about that. And there's a good little bit about them here. Walnut is one of the sacred trees of Italian witchcraft, and in Roman mythology is sacred to Proserpina, Hecate, and Diana. In Italian folklore, it is intimately connected to fairies. Yay, where's my highlighter? Anyway, okay, Italian fairies, walnut, got it, cool. I'm giving my fairies, my fairy house is right behind you guys. I'm going to give them one right now. Yay, for you guys. Okay, so that's great to know. Let's see. According to legend, a sacred walnut tree grew in Benevento, Italy, and references are made to it as early as the 7th century AD. Manuscripts from old witch trials in Italy speak of this walnut tree, that it is said had always been there and was in leaf all year long. Legends were told for centuries of the great witch gatherings in the town of Benevento and at the site of ancient walnut tree. In the year AD 662, Saint Barbato converted the Duke of Benevento, a pagan, to Christianity and had the tree cut down. Oh my gosh. That like breaks my heart just to think of all that power and magic being cut down so sadly before its prime, yeah? Or in its prime. Wow. Legends were told for centuries of the great witch gatherings. Right. Cut the tree down. Bottles of Strega liqueur manufactured in Benevento today bear labels upon which the old walnut tree appears. A group of witches and satyrs, or satyrs, S-A-T-Y-R-S, dancing around it. In ancient Aegean or Mediterranean culture, the walnut tree is believed to possess and impart the gift of prophecy. Should have put one in there. It was also believed to grant fertility, which is weird because in Scott Cunningham's book it said infertility. And traditionally a walnut tree was planted when a female was born into a family. When the daughter married, the tree was cut and made into her marriage bed. Wow, that is such cool tradition. That's so interesting. A walnut liqueur known as Nocello, N-O-C-E-L-L-O, has long been traditionally drank sipped on the summer solstice. I've tried that. It's really quite nice. In Perigord, from Pyrat to Tucson, excavations have brought to light petrified shells of nuts that were roasted during the Neolithic period, more than 8,000 years ago, around 2000 BC in Mesopotamia. The Chaldrons left inscriptions on clay tablets revealing the existence of walnut groves within the framed hangings gardens of Babylon. There is evidence of walnut consumption in a section devoted to food on carved stelae containing the code of Hammurabi, which dates from the same era. In the Old Testament, King Solomon speaks with delight of visiting his walnut grove. I went down into the garden, and remember he had like 500 wives, so he was like an active man. I went down into the garden of nuts to see the fruit of the valley. Song of Solomon 6:11. The walnut appears in Greek mythology in the story of Kyra, C-A-R-Y-A, with whom the god Dionysus fell in love. When she died, Dionysus transformed her into a walnut tree. The goddess Artemis called the news to Kyra's father, and he commanded that a temple be built in her memory. Its columns, sculpted in the wood in the form of young women, were called cryatids, or nymphs of the walnut tree. So the tree furnished the image for a famous Greek architectural form. I think I've seen those before. They're quite interesting. The very name of the walnut tree and its nut comes down to us from the Romans. The royal nut of the Jove. The word for nut itself derives from the Latin nux or nucleus, fruit of the shell, with a suggested derivation from nox or night, owing to the dark juice of the nut, which was used to dye wool. Interesting. The walnut and the oil extracted from it, so good in witchcraft, by the way, for like your anointing oils and things, and great for cooking and in kitchen witchcraft. The walnut and the oil extracted from it therefore have been known since ancient times. Theory has it that the walnut may have disappeared in parts of northern Europe during the glacial period, but was then reintroduced by barbarian invaders and by Greco-Roman conquerors. Once the tree was reestablished, the exploitation of its products spread steadily through increasing trade. That was a lot of good information on walnuts. Thank you, Raven G. So, Scott Cunningham and Raven G, a lot about walnuts. I was so lucky to be able to forge some on my trip. They're going to be perfect for witchcraft because I found them. I'm creating them. I'm working with them. I'm doing my workings with them. I'm trying to use all the parts as well. Have a beautiful day, you guys, and come back and join me at Jen the Taxidermy Witch. We'll be talking about more herbalism today.